Welcome to the Boomer Briefing Podcast, your roughly 10-minute conversation around insights shaping the accounting profession. I'm your host, John Hubbard, Chief Growth Officer and shareholder at Boomer Consulting, and with me today is Jim Boomer, our CEO, and we co-facilitate the Operations Circle together. And we just wrapped up 2 days of our fall Operations Circle meeting, and we thought we'd take a few minutes just to share some key insights around the topics that were discussed. So, Jim, from your group, what were some key topics discussed, maybe the most engaging conversations?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say, at risk of being a broken record, because I think every circle, there's an element of AI at the top of the list. And then it shows up in the other topics that we discuss. So that would be number one. But I would also highlight resource management came up over and over again. And how do we think about a holistic approach to resource management, not just scheduling, but how do you tie in, career aspirations and development skills, reporting, workload planning, all of that into it. So a lot of discussion there in terms of process, and technology and how we address that. We had a session on reimagining office space for the future. And so we had 3 firms that shared what their firm has been doing, and they're in different spots in the journey of office build-outs. But it was a really lively discussion around a lot of the pre-planning details you have to get into, living in a hybrid environment, and having more people come back to the office, but maybe only a day or 2 a week, or, you've got to get your arms around how much space do we need? And then once you get your arms around that, you got to say, well, how are we going to build it out? What's our mix of private spaces, collaborative spaces, client-facing spaces? So we had a great discussion there. We talked about defining the roles and the expectations for non-CPA partners, which I think we've been talking about in a lot of our operational leader groups, tech, marketing, business development, HR. So that was an interesting one. And then probably the threaded throughout that is change leadership. Still an area that there's a lot of opportunity for improvement, whether your firm's looking at a technology change, a process change, any type of change. Having a framework, a methodology to approach that is an important piece of the puzzle. And so we dug into that a little as well.
Yeah, that's great. In my group, one of the key focus areas we touched on was around accountability. And while accountability is not a new topic by any means, it seems to be our common thread in conversations. It really focused on accountability at the partner level, and do our firms have the structure needed to allow the right accountability to happen? So there is definitely a relationship to organization structure, and are people reporting to the right people? Are there the right teams formed that are positioning our firms for the future, not just for the past? And so we had just a lot of conversations around that. And oftentimes the operational leader is at the center of that accountability conversation, how to support it internally, how to create that framework, and then how to train people to be able to deliver on what they're accountable to. So Jim, as you reflect on your conversations, is there any topic that you would categorize as an aha or a breakthrough?
I think I covered all of those topics I talked about are sort of ahas in that every firm's facing these same opportunities, and they are helping each other work through these. One that I didn't mention that I would say for several in the room was an aha, was somebody shared that they were for their operations overall group, they were using a support ticketing system, which when at first glance you think technology support system. Right. And they said what that has done for them is that it created standardization. It takes it out of, it's coming from email, text, conversation, and you now have some structure. You can manage and track how much how much volume is coming in terms of requests to support the team. And then that ultimately can help you in your workforce planning within the operations team and making sure that you have the right ratios so that you can effectively support the team. So that was one that is a little bit different that I expect to come up in tech circles and CIO circle, but maybe not as much in the operations circle.
So the ticketing system, it's not just for technology. It's for any operational requests coming into the operations team?
Yes. This was a COO saying we use the ticketing system for when people are making requests to our team.
Interesting.
Not necessarily tech related.
Okay.
So, and I myself had never thought about extending the capability of those tools beyond tech support. And let's use it with other operational areas. Now we get a better handle on what's coming in. Has it been addressed? And what's the volume, and are we out of whack? Is one person having to not keeping up because they have so many requests that they can't possibly, so that may point to we either need to hire another person or figure out a new way of doing this and supporting it.
Yeah, that's great. One of our kind of breakthrough topics over in my group was really around the aha that most firms were underutilizing their admin staff, their admin department. As we think about how firms' business models are evolving, how the admin department looks is different into the future. So a couple bullet points around that of how do we better leverage our admin staff, our professional admin staff, on the front end of, let's say, tax workflow, where they can gather the documents we need from our clients and really remove our CPAs from having to chase those down. And what the firms over in my group reported was when they started to actually focus on that, they made the overall process way better. They're better at it. It's super important. The clients start to develop relationships with the admin staff. Pretty much every firm in our circle on my side raised their hand when I asked if their admin staff were billable. They said about 60% of their time is billable. And so it's a way to grow the firm, push work in the right areas to relieve bottlenecks in others. And so some of the takeaways our group really left with was around, okay, we're going to go back and kind of reposition our admin departments for the future. And so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that comes up consistently in our process projects when we work with firms, is if you really break down like service line processes, there's a whole bunch of steps in there that don't require a CPA for sure, and also don't require an accountant to do. And if you think differently about how you get that work done and leverage your admin operational staff, it can make a huge difference.
And it's so critical to the client experience.
Yeah.
So clients are, potentially leaving our firm because we're bottlenecked in certain areas. Well, the admin staff can play a huge role in that.
Yeah.
So we just have a couple minutes left here. Anything you feel like, and maybe I can answer this one first, that our members are going to leave here doing differently after this meeting. And something I wrote down on this one is better prioritizing their areas of influence. I think this operational role in firms is often at the center of a lot of change that's happening. And it's a tough spot to be in, and they have to pick and choose where their areas of influence are, how they manage change fatigue in the organization, what they can move forward without requiring a lot of work from other individuals. But where can we prioritize larger firm-wide approaches? And so I'm not sure if it's necessarily different than something they were doing before, but they're leading with increased clarity. How about in your group?
Well, I'll go back to the change leadership topic. I think the big thing that I heard consistently in terms of commitment among the group was to really go back and give some proactive thought and assessment of their own individual change readiness. Ariana did a great job of covering 7 strategies for change readiness. So even before we've decided to change, how can we as leaders assess how well we're prepared for it? And we have to be prepared in order to lead. So that was a big thing that I think was an aha for a lot of the group.
That's great. All right, we're getting the time notification here. So that's all time we have for this short podcast. If you've been considering getting plugged into the Operation Circle, we would certainly welcome having a conversation with you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it gave you a little bit of a look behind the scenes on the types of topics we discuss. But if you are interested in joining the group, simply go to boomer.com. You will see the Operation Circle under Services. Click that link. You can read more about this circle and even fill out a form. And we'd love to hop on a call with you, or one of our team members hopping on a call with you to learn more about your needs, to see if this group is a good fit. Thanks for watching.